Let's put my sweet professional psychological skills to the test today and see if we can figure out some ways how to not freak out. First of all, why do we freak out in the first place? Freaking out is simply a way we describe what's happening naturally in our own brain and body. Our brain is in charge of everything, and one of the important tasks that our brain has is to keep us alive. Oh, this is good news. Our brain loves us, doesn't want us to be eaten for lunch or to be destroyed by some unforeseen danger. So it's constantly on the lookout for threat. When we see something that looks like a threat, our brain kicks us into what we call the fight or flight response. You've heard about this, right? Basically preparing our body to do one of those two things. To fight in order to survive, or to run away and get away from the danger that's there. When I think about freaking out, I think of it as a response that our brain has created for us to try to protect us from some kind of a threat. Why would you freak out otherwise? Now, there's an important thing to understand about our brain. Because the part of our brain that's in charge of the fight or flight response is not in charge of thinking. That's a different area of our brain. And when the fight or flight part of our brain is active, when it's really going nutso, there's a decrease in blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain right behind your forehead that's in charge of thinking, logic, problem solving, all that great stuff that we need to solve most of the problems that we're facing. This makes sense. If you're being chased by a bear who wants to rip your face off, probably not a good idea right in that moment to sit down on a stump and think it through. Yeah, bear chow. So to save your own life, your brain kicks you into fight or flight response so that you can live to watch another video tomorrow. So just notice that your brain's trying to take care of you. But it doesn't discern between a threat that's real and a threat that's just perceived. We know this because when you go to a movie, for example, and the movie starts to get kind of intense, and you find yourself gripping those armrests a little tightly, and your heart starts to beat a little more strongly, and your breathing gets kind of rapid and shallow because your body is responding to a perceived threat from the movie. You're not in danger. Do you ever run screaming out of a movie theater? No, because your brain intervenes and says, well, hold on, this isn't real. You paid $8 for the show. You haven't even finished your popcorn. So that's what I call the cognitive override, where the thinking part of our brain can calm us down. Now, I get into a little bit of detail on this because I want you to understand that your brain is just doing what it's designed to do. How do you not freak out? I would suggest that you train your brain to chill, to calm down, to see that you're not in danger. Most of the perceived dangers come from our own mind anyway, as we think up all of these things that could go wrong or might go wrong or probably will go wrong for me, and then I get into fight or flight mode. Practice during periods of relative calm, because we're going to train the brain this way. Practice calming your brain. I do this through breathing, and this is the fastest way I know to help get you to that point. Breathing. I know you're probably thinking, Dr. Paul, I breathe every day. Yes, you do. Thank you for that. I'm talking about a special kind of breathing that helps you to calm your brain. And you can just try this. Breathing in through the nose, a nice deep breath, and then hold. Just let it stretch for a minute. Hold that breath for maybe, 10 seconds or so. It doesn't have to be very long. And then breathe out slowly through the mouth. Restrict the flow here on your lips, kind of like you're blowing out birthday candles, so that you slow the flow down. You want to take about twice as long to exhale as you did to inhale. And then push it out at the end. Do that for a few times and notice how you feel. You're going to feel a little more calm This is good because it means that a different part of our brain is being activated. Or if you think of it that way, it's helpful to know, okay, we can calm that fight or flight response. We can get it to chillax a little bit. Now, as we calm our brain, there's some other things that we can do with our own thinking that are going to help this. And first of all, I would suggest that we get to the metacognitive level. Now, metacognition is a fancy word. We make up words in psychology because we feel smart when we do. Metacognition, if we break it down, cognition means thinking. Metacognition is a higher level. It's thinking about thinking. Are you tracking this? Practicing metacognition. Sometimes we call this mindfulness. People use meditation or deep focus techniques to try to get to this level. All you got to do is notice that you're thinking and practice observing your thinking. It's interesting, I have my clients do this in the office sometimes where I just tell them, okay, clear your mind. In fact, try this. Clear your mind. This is easier for some people than for others. And there's a lot of noise in there, I know. But just clear your mind. Watch what happens when I suggest this next prompt. I wonder what thought I'll have next. Is that interesting? Just notice what happens in your mind. Now, whatever happens is fine. And there's no right or wrong answer to this. You're simply watching to see what happens. Let's try it again. Clear your mind. I wonder what thought I'll have next. And was it different? Was it the same? I don't know. Whatever it was is fine. Just notice that it's happening. And now notice this. For a brief moment at least, when I said I wonder what thought I'll have next, for at least a brief moment, there was a little period of silence. Did you notice? Yeah, it's usually really noisy in there. But while you're watching your thoughts, there's a brief moment, at least, where peace, silence. It's usually really noisy in there, isn't it? This is the power of metacognition. As you learn to watch your own thinking, and this is going to take some practice, I'll give that to you. Just practice it a little bit. Okay, see what happens and notice that there's some peace in there already. I believe that the natural state of the human mind is peace, joy, calm. Let's connect with that. Practice it. See what happens. While we get to that level of metacognition, we can start to do some other really important things like observing what kind of dialogue's already happening in our mind. Here's a question for you to ask. What is the story I'm telling myself? This usually requires some metacognition to get to because we think that the story in our head is just a reflection of what's actually happening. Let's get beyond that. There is something happening in your life, I know. But what is the story I'm telling myself about what's happening? And when you go to that metacognitive level, you can start to see, oh, the story I'm telling myself is that this is bad, or I can't handle that, or so-and-so is being really rude to me right now. Well, that's a story that you're telling yourself. And you're never wrong about how you feel. How you feel is 100% consistent with the way your mind is processing all of this. Just notice it and ask the question, what is the story I'm telling myself about this? When you get to the story, you can introduce the next question. And this is a potentially relationship or even life-saving question. What else might this mean? We are creatures of meaning. We seek meaning in everything, and we make up stories in our mind to create the meaning. What else might this mean? Is a powerful way for you to call the story into question and put you back into choice about how you're going to interpret the circumstances in your life. As we get to that level, I'll also suggest 2 areas of practice for you. A brief word about practice. It's required. If you want to gain the skill, that is. My wife and my daughter both teach piano lessons, and somehow they can tell. When these little kids come back the next week, they can tell whether they've practiced or not. How do they do that? Well, it's pretty obvious, because if the skills don't increase, it probably means there was no practice that happened. Same thing here. You want to increase this skill about not freaking out? Practice. And here's one thing to practice. Practice saying, I can handle this. If you're freaking out, the story in your mind is something other than that, isn't it? I can't handle this, and therefore I'm freaking out. Practice saying, I can handle this. Or even asking the question, how? How can I handle this? What will it take? That enacts a very different part of your brain. And it's a brain-friendly practice that's going to help put you in a higher level of control. Here's another one. Practice saying, this is perfect for me. This is particularly hard if whatever this is difficult, painful, frustrating, annoying. This is perfect for me. You'll know you're getting good at this when painful stuff shows up and you have an automatic response to say, this is perfect for me. I'm not even sure how this is perfect for me because it's darn painful right now, but I know that somehow this is perfect for me. The things that we've discussed in this video are reflections of principles that can empower your life. I think you're going to also enjoy the Positivity Powerup. Would you just check that out today before you leave your screen? PositivityPowerup.com. I've got some powerful tools for you to help you feel in control of you.